Going from 0 to 100 is the quickest way to burn out. Direction is more important than speed. I'm using the energy that I feel as a metric to help guide me towards the direction of things that are building momentum. So I know the things that are going to move the needle forward, but I also take a lot of inventory on my energy, right? Like energy can be better data than this logical plan that you have in your head. Maybe you have gone to ChatGPT and you've talked about your goal and it's given you these parameters of this goal. My question that I would add into ChatGPT is, how can I make this more fun? I always ask myself, how can I make this more fun? Because then I'm going to show up and do the things that I need to do to get where I want to go, right? What's up? I'm so excited that you're here for today's episode because this topic is crucial, especially because I get you. You are an ambitious go-getter. You got dreams, you got vision. Maybe you're feeling like the hype of this time of year if you're listening to this episode in real time, like end of December, beginning of January, like, what do I want for 2026? And I honestly really love that hype. I think it's really awesome to feel like palpable energy from people. But my goal with this episode is to help you figure out how you specifically, because obviously all of our lives are different, our circumstances, our goals, but how you specifically can build momentum without burning yourself out, especially if right now you're coming back from a pause, right? Like I just recently am coming off of like the biggest business pause I've had in my last 11 years as an entrepreneur, or you're making a big pivot and you were going at a certain pace in something before where you were really comfortable with that thing. And now you're starting something new and you're trying to apply the same pace and you're like, crap, I don't really know what I'm doing yet. Or you're just in a season where you know that you're hyped and you want to like crank it up a notch, but you don't want to do the thing that you've done maybe in the past where you go from 0 to 100 and then you're like, holy crap. And then you want to burn it all down. So that's what we're talking about today is, this idea that we can have momentum and we can utilize momentum because it is really helpful for us to make progress, but we don't have to lose ourselves, like the other parts of us. And we also don't have to feel like we're burnout or we're like running around like a chicken with our head cut off. Like we don't have to feel that way. And I think sometimes if we go from 0 to 100 or we set these very unrealistic expectations based off of our season of life, it can feel really frustrating because you just set yourself up to feel like you're failing. And here's the thing, we got to be on our own team, right? Every single day for the rest of your life, you're going to be with yourself. So we want to make sure that we're setting ourselves up to feel like we're making progress because as humans, we love growth and we love progress, but we also still want to feel like we're moving the needle forward in a way that's actually aligned for us with our current circumstances. Because as seasons change, or our attention needs to go in different directions, we want to make sure that our goals make sense, right? I know that you know what I mean, but I think it's helpful sometimes just to have these raw conversations about it. And I can share with you a little bit of my personal experience of how I'm like ramping things up, where at this current moment in time that I'm recording this, I'm finishing my first trimester with our second pregnancy. I have a 2-year-old. I'm switching career paths. I'm about to take a real estate exam to become a licensed real estate agent. My husband and I bought land. We're building something from the ground up. I started this podcast again. I'm doing a little bit of coaching, doing a couple keynotes. Like I got a lot of plates I'm juggling, and I know you have your version of all of that too, but I don't want to feel chaotic and feel like I'm crazy or I can't be present. I want to feel excited, but I also want to feel grounded. And I just don't want to feel how I felt in previous chapters when I was doing too much for the sake of just wanting to say yes to everything. Because in reality, that doesn't actually get us where we want to go. So here's the first direction I want to take this podcast is I really do feel like direction is more important than speed. And I've actually talked about that on previous episodes because I think sometimes we don't give ourselves credit for getting ourselves on the right track, right? Where right now, maybe you've made a decision about a goal that's really important to you and just making that decision and committing to like, I'm going to go down this track. Maybe it's on your health journey or it's in your career or you're going back to school or maybe you're getting yourself back out there after, a breakup and you're dating again or you're going down a fertility journey or whatever that looks like for you. You're getting on the track and going from 0 to 100 is the quickest way to burn out. Like if you think of this like an analogy, like you're on the freeway and you're in the grandma lane. So like, if you're in the US, like on the far right lane, that's where you go really slow. Like that's where sometimes people in that lane like go under the speed limit. But as you progress over to the left on the freeway and you get to that far left carpool lane, you're cruising. Like you got to be going at least 10 miles per hour over the speed limit in that lane. Well, if you are a parked car and you get on the freeway and then you go straight over to that carpool lane and you're just like cruising, that might be too fast of an increase of rate. Like, yes, we don't want you to be a parked car on the side of the road, but maybe you need to move into the slow lane and then slowly put your left blinker on, for sake of this analogy, and bump your way over throughout the year as you're making progress on those goals, right? Because think about it, even with, it's funny because I live with someone, my husband, if you're familiar with Enneagram, he's an Enneagram 3 achiever. He's an all or nothing type of person. So this time of year, he's always like, I'm going hard. Like I'm doing 75 hard, no alcohol. I'm doing 2 workouts a day. Like this is my meal plan. He goes so hard. And I always am like, well, like, what about if you do this and XYZ? And also like, that's going to be interesting for him because I'm pregnant. I'll be in my 2nd trimester and he's doing 75 hard. And your girl sometimes just needs a cookie at night. And I'm not going to say no to my cookie just because he can't eat a cookie, but that's another problem in itself. Anyways, I always like hear him go hard. And I don't think that it's a bad thing. Like it works for him and his personality. But I do think that most of us struggle if we go all or nothing, because this first day that we miss or it doesn't go according to plan, we start beating ourselves up. And we have to be on our own team, like I said, right? I don't want you beating yourself up that you didn't show up and post every single day on Instagram because all of a sudden you decided that was important to you. Maybe your goal, if you've never posted on Instagram, is I want to post 3 times a day on Instagram and progressively increase that goal. Or if you haven't been working out for a while and you're like, I'm going to go every single day at the 5:15 a.m. class, like good luck to you. And I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm not saying you don't have the willpower and that you can't commit if that's a real goal for you. But I do think a lot of us set these like intense goals and we don't give ourselves any buffer, right? So the other part to take in mind is what is your current season of life? Because maybe the old pace that you had doesn't work for your new season. Even right now for me, I've struggled with my own workouts because when I was pregnant with my son, I didn't have anyone to take care of, right? Like just myself. So I could go to the workout classes at whatever time I wanted. I was an entrepreneur. I had a flexible schedule. But now it's like he wakes up in the morning. He wants mom. I want to make sure that I'm like here for some of those mornings to wake up with him. But also I still want to get that 6:15 workout in. I love doing that. So it's like finding the cadence. If I compare myself now to a prior version of myself when the season was different, when the circumstances were different, I would feel like I'm failing in how I'm showing up for my workouts now, right? But I'm not failing. It's just a new criteria. So I set different parameters over what success looks like in my fitness journey now, because I do want to show up for my workouts and I do want to treat myself well and, sometimes have a cookie, but also eat really well. Like I feel better when I eat well, but it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be the way that even a prior version of me in a different season showed up. So I want to always asterisk that because I do think it's really important that we take into consideration. I'm not saying like don't have big goals and don't have big dreams, but we take into consideration where am I at in my life right now? How are these circumstances maybe different from times in the past that I approached a goal because we might need to accommodate for that? Or maybe right now you are in a season where in the past you didn't have accountability, but this time you're approaching your fitness goals and you're going to have a workout partner or you're training for a half marathon and you've got people that you're checking in on. Well, this time is different. So like show the F up and let's go, girl, right? Comparing yourself to that prior version where you didn't show up and do your workouts. Maybe it was because you didn't have that accountability, right? So really looking at the circumstances as we're setting our goals and recognizing that getting the train on the tracks in the right direction is more important than the speed or even intensity at which we're going. And sometimes we don't give ourselves credit for getting the train on the tracks or making the decision about the goal. Maybe just making the decision to start the business is the thing. The decision to launch the podcast, to start the blog, to move to the new city, to pick up that little like hobby that you wanted to once do. And now you're actually going to do it because you want to be a ceramic potist. Ceramic potist? Are you a potist? I don't know. You know what I mean? But like celebrate yourself for getting the train on the tracks and remember that progress is progress and take into consideration your circumstances as you're trying to build momentum, right? Number 2, I think something that's really valuable that I've done is giving myself chunks of time where I have like my main focus for like 30 or 60 days. So right now at the time that I'm recording this podcast episode, my main focus is I need to get my real estate license. So I had to do 168 online course hours. And let me tell you, this is so boring. Everyone that's a real estate agent is like, you don't even use like 95% of this. You just have to test on it. And I hate that. Like I hate filling my brain with a bunch of stuff. And then like, I don't even need it after the test, but whatever. Right. So I'm like, this chunk of time, this next 30 days, it's like, I'm getting EmpowerHER podcast started again, which woo, here we are. And we're on YouTube. Have you subscribed on YouTube yet? Go to Keisha Get Married, hit subscribe. There's not only every single weekly episode, but I'm also going to do some fun other videos. So you don't want to miss those. And it's fun sometimes to like see someone talking and then you can see that I'm just like rolling with it and I'm pretending like you're sitting across from me and just like looking at the screen. So here we are. Okay. Anyways, I digress. I decided for the next 30 to 60 days, my main focus is I wanted to get EmpowerHER started. And I wanted to focus on getting my coursework done for real estate and prepare for this test. I have not taken a test in 15 years. And some of this stuff is just like contracts and like math and stuff that I was a communication major. Like a lot of my tests were public speaking. So this is totally different. But I'm like, that is my main focus for right now. Then I'm going to focus on, okay, what brokerage do I want to be at? Then I'm going to focus on my husband and I are getting our podcast, Get Investing, like our last name, Get Married, Get Investing launched. And then I'm going to figure out how I'm going to do this with some childcare and what does that look like? But I have to almost take it like section by section and decide what is the priority right now. And then it's almost like I'm layering like a cake. So it's like, okay, the priority now is get this real estate stuff done and get EmpowerHER started again, right? And obviously like my workouts. Okay, great. I got that all covered. Now, after that, the next layer is like pass my test, find the brokerage, figure out the childcare to accommodate the new career path, get this other podcast launched, do insert whatever, right? So for you, looking at all of the goals that you might have right now, what in the next 30 days is the main focus? And it might just be like, I want to drink 100 ounces of water. I want to post 5 times or 3 times a week on Instagram or 5 times a week. I want to launch this blog. I want to do 1 podcast. I want to do a Substack. I want to meet someone for coffee to explore career paths that I'm mildly interested in. I want to go on 1 date a week. I want to do 1 girlfriend catch up a week, like whatever it is, because you want to prioritize your female friendships, whatever your goal and vision is. Instead of trying to do all of these things at once, it's like if you were renovating your house and you decided to renovate every single room. Let's not do that. I actually did do that. My husband and I bought the house that we live in now as a property that we could like add value to that would, increase the equity and everything. And we came back from our baby moon when I was pregnant with our son. And I was so pregnant that I was peeing all the time and I was really large. And our bathrooms didn't work because the contractors hadn't finished the bathrooms and it was a disaster. So renovating every room of your house is not only like a little bit dangerous if you live in it at one time, but renovating every section of your life and every goal that you have is also a little dangerous, I think. So like, what's the main focus for the next 30 to 60 days? And if you look at it that way, I feel like you can really build momentum towards those areas, but not burn yourself out because you're not trying to do 800 million things. I know you. You're already someone who has 800 tabs open in your brain. Like, think about it. While you're listening to this podcast, you're probably multitasking. You're doing a workout or you're unloading the dishwasher or you're driving somewhere or you're walking your dog and you just had to pick up a piece of poop with your poop bag. I hope you used a poop bag, girl. You don't want to be the girl that doesn't use the poop bag. But honestly, it's like, I know you're doing so many things right now and you have so many tabs open. So as we think about 2026 and wanting to build momentum without burning ourselves out, how can we do this in a way that feels really aligned because our focus is really clear? You know what I mean? So that's really helpful for me, is really just deciding like what deserves my attention right now, knowing that those other goals matter, but maybe not right at this moment. Another thing that's been really helpful for me is to decide what I'm not doing. Because again, it's like if we're juggling all these balls in the air of all of these things that we want to work on at one time, it can feel really overwhelming. Ultimately, if you decide proactively what ball you're willing to drop right now, it can just help you feel more at ease. And again, you want to be on your own team. So you want to give yourself a layup to feel proud of yourself that you're making progress and setting your success criteria for this season, right? New season of life, new scoreboard, new way that you want to show up. So right now, what are you not focusing on? Is there something that you can take off your plate? In the last episode, part 2 of this like relaunch of the podcast, I talked about asking for help and how valuable it can be to ask for help with something, because there are people that want to help you. They just don't know that you need help. So maybe there is something that you can do where you can get some help to have something taken off of your plate that you have on your plate right now that you just don't need, because you need to focus on those other things for the next 30 to 60 days that are your main priorities. So like, what can go, right? And honestly, rest and spaciousness and solo time by yourself, like even if it's like 10, 15 minutes, like sitting in your car, like if you're a parent, like coming home and sitting in your car for a second to just like recalibrate or whatever it is that you need, like that counts as productivity. You know what I mean? Because that spaciousness helps give you clarity for whatever it is that you're working on. And again, if you're focused on something for the next 30 to 60 days and you've decided what you're willing to drop, let's not drop spaciousness, time, or rest, or the things that actually fill you up. Because you have to feel like a full, complete, happy person in order to make all of your goals come true, right? All of your dreams, all the visions that you have for your life. So let's make sure that if you are dropping something, it's not dropping yourself. And I'm not saying that you're going to have, your therapy sessions and you're going to do somatic work and you're going to journal and cold plunge and red light therapy. And what are all these people, these like 22-year-old, social media influencers that have like 5 hours in the morning? I'm like, what is your morning routine? I wake up and I hear dinosaur, stomp, 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 and a chomp, 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 and mommy. That's my morning routine, right? So make sure that you're still a priority, because you deserve it, and because that's going to give you enough energies to sustain pouring the next 30 to 60 days into those goals that matter to you, right? Another thing that I think is really important with momentum is using energy as the metric versus motivation. Asking yourself, like, does this expand me or does this drain me? And what's been really interesting for me, for example, I was pretty absent on social media for the last 6 months. And I decided recently that I wanted to start showing up a little bit more on social media, but I wanted to do it in a way that was fun for me. I don't want to do just what everybody else is doing. I want to talk about whatever I want to talk about. I'm very multi-passionate. And when I share stories about like our fertility journey and our pregnancy and empowerHER and like that we're building a house and random like thoughts that I have when I'm in the car or funny things that happen to me that I think could be helpful for you, when I just make it my own, it really expands me. It doesn't drain me. But if I were to tell myself, Keisha, you have to post this specific thing on social media every single day about this particular topic because these are your 5 content pillars, I would honestly feel like I want to take a fork and just shove it in my eyeball. I would feel so drained by that. So I'm using the energy that I feel as a metric to help guide me towards the direction of things that are building momentum. So I know the things that are going to move the needle forward, but I also take a lot of inventory on my energy, right? Like energy can be better data than this logical plan that you have in your head. Maybe you have gone to ChatGPT and you've talked about your goal and it's giving you these parameters of this goal. My question that I would add into ChatGPT is, how can I make this more fun? I always ask myself, how can I make this more fun? Because then I'm going to show up and do the things that I need to do to get where I want to go, right? Workouts, doing it with a friend, way more fun, right? Posting on social media, doing it in a way that you actually like, not the way that you think you quote unquote should, so much more fun. For me, coming back to empowerHER podcast to get to talk about whatever topics that I want to talk about and hopefully get to connect with you and inspire you, rather than doing a podcast that was super niche like I had gone down the path before, way more fun. It doesn't drain me. It expands me, right? So momentum also comes from doing the things that light you up. So in your business or in your career path or in your fitness journey or with whatever it is that you're working on, how can you make this more fun so you get more energized and expanded by it? If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm just over here like, but like you're getting more expanded by it rather than feeling so drained, right? You get to control how this process goes. So sometimes I think we set these parameters of how we think that we need to show up for a goal, or we're like, it has to be a SMART goal, like specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time sensitive or something. It's like, girl, It doesn't need to be a SMART goal. It needs to be a goal that works for you, that's going to help you show up and be consistent, which consistency doesn't mean daily. Consistency means success for your season with whatever that looks like, so you can get pumped and start to move the needle forward. Because those dopamine hits of keeping a promise to yourself and doing the thing that you said that you're going to do after the feeling that you said it and is gone, and just boom, 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 getting those hits, that makes you pumped. And I'm over here recording this and I'm wrapping up my first trimester. And if you've been there, you know, like sometimes your energy is a little whack, but because I'm so excited about what I'm doing right now, I can tell that I can pour all this energy into you because I'm truly aligned, right? So energy as a metric, rather than just like doing the logistical path, asking yourself, how can this be more fun? And you know, I kind of touched on this, but momentum in a way that still leaves room for you. That sustainable momentum includes some white space. White space is not laziness. It's strategy. It really is, right? Creating a space, like a container for you. If you're anything like me, you're a verbal processor, okay? Which means I want to call a girlfriend. I want to go on a walk with a girlfriend. I want my husband to just listen to me, just run my mouth about an idea, and I'll basically come up with the solution myself, but I just need to talk through it. I have to create containers where I can just process and talk through things. And I like to do that with people whose opinion that I really value. Close friends or my husband. Like that's my go-to. Like I have certain people that I go to for certain topics too. Kind of like, who was it that said, it might've been Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx, who says like she has like a board of directors, which is like people that she goes to for specific things. If it wasn't her, DM me and let me know who it was. But I'm for some reason connecting to Sarah Blakely. Anyway, I have certain people that I go to so I can verbally process that white space and verbal process. Like that is so productive for me because it helps me get out of my head and then start to take action. But if I was constantly back to back, filled up with this like super tight schedule, I'd have no white space for me to just process. And also that white space can be just having fun, right? Like laughing with girlfriends, doing something that lights you up, even giving yourself just a tiny container of something weekly. I mean, of course, if you could do it daily, that would be amazing, but just like letting yourself have fun, because when you come from this place of joy at your goals and at your vision, it's like you can feel yourself feeling pulled to something. And I think so often we have a goal, we have this tight schedule, we have these parameters, and it's like go, 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 go. And if we don't have space for the magic, the opportunities of things that could come your way, that if you have to say no to them because you literally don't have time or space, like making sure that you're giving yourself some container to think, to process, to be, to enjoy. You could grow and you could feel really excited while you're doing it. I'm not saying that there aren't seasons of growth that's really shitty. Like I would say the last 6 months of my life, like from when I closed down empowerHER in June, it was really shitty because I let myself start grieving those 2 back-to-back miscarriages, a lot of confusion of my career path, not really knowing what I wanted to do next, like swinging the pendulum into mama, like all the things, like we've talked about it, right? I felt like it was really, really hard and I was growing so much. And then I started to feel really excited again. And I feel like this chapter of my life feels so fun and I'm growing so much. And I almost have to remind myself that growth sometimes feels really crappy, but sometimes growth still feels really fun. You can still feel excited. And so being cautious of building momentum in a way that leaves room for you to make sure that you're tapping into the things that light you up, that bring you joy, and knowing your own way to process things that's going to make you feel at home. If I don't have space to verbally process, it's going to turn into anxiety internally for me. I have to get it out of my body. Like I have to word vomit on people. Otherwise, it's just going to turn to my head and I'm going to start like, I don't even know, spiraling, right? Then I'm going to end up on the bathroom floor, ugly crying with my snot and mascara getting together in my mouth and I'm choking on my spit. And like, it's just not cute. I don't want to do that. So I have to give myself space and remind myself that's so productive. Because again, as ambitious women, we just struggle with thinking like, if we're not doing things and checking things off our to-do list, we're not being productive. But it's like having fun and joy and savoring the season of life, like the things that you have in your life right now that a prior version of you wished for, prayed for that you literally have right now? Holy crap, that's so cool. And Ed Milet calls it blissful dissatisfaction, which I love. Where like you're so grateful for what you have and you make time to celebrate what you have and feel proud of yourself while still reaching for that next level, that next version of you, because we're so growth minded. And I think you can hold both simultaneously. But in order to maintain momentum without burning yourself out, you have to have some fun along the way. You have to have some white space you can think and process along the way, giving yourself those containers, right? So truly, when I came back to empowerHER and I started to think about this pivot that I'm making into the real estate space career-wise, like a whole new career path, one of the biggest things we have to be cautious of when we're starting something new is not comparing ourselves to a prior version of ourselves when the circumstances were different, right? Like I could comfortably get on a stage right now and speak to 10,000 people and like pump them up. I've done that so many times, right? I've done so many keynotes. But the idea of me taking this real estate test, like I'm just in my head about it a little bit because I'm like, these contracts, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, yes, I do know what I'm doing. Anything that you start at the beginning, you feel like you don't know what you're doing. But remember, you felt that way before. The first time I ever went to speak on a stage, I remember I was wearing those chicken cutlets. I had this jumpsuit on. I was so sweaty. I was like, I might poop my pants. I might puke. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm so sweaty. Are my chicken cutlets going to slide off my boobs, down my jumpsuit and out the bottom of my shoes and land on someone in the front row? Like I remember literally thinking that. And it's like that first time you get over it and then you start to put your reps in, you get better, you get more comfortable, you get more confident, you got this, right? But building momentum in a way that feels exciting to you is really important. And I don't think we emphasize enthusiasm and joy in the journey as much as we celebrate the end goal. But truth of the matter is, you're always going to have goals. You're always going to be moving the needle. You're always going to be moving the goalpost. That's what I meant to say, not the needle. I mean, hopefully you're moving the needle, but like you're moving the goalpost when you're like, I accomplished this. Now what can I do? So if we don't get obsessed with falling in love with the process rather than just what the process produces, we're going to miss out on so much joy and fulfillment and opportunity to celebrate ourselves along the way. And I want that for you. So hopefully some of these tips were helpful for you. And reminding yourself that you're never actually starting from scratch. Even if you're starting a new goal in a new season that you've never been in before, you're never starting from scratch. You have all of this experience, all of those times in your life that you came up against resistance and you're like, how the F am I going to get through this? Guess what? You did. And here you are on the other side, often better because of it. So I love you. I'm rooting for you. And this juicy year that's coming in 2026, feel free to shoot me a DM on Instagram and let me know what some of your goals and your visions are. I love hearing from you. I love hearing what you're excited about. If I can pump you up or help you in any way, you let me know. And I'll talk to you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in.